Meshuabad Bava Kama. Meshuabad Bava Kama daf tzadihei Amud Beis. Thank you everybody for being here. Tzadihei Amud Beis. We definitely have to recap on yesterday a little bit because the end of this year was maybe a little bit rushed and difficult, and we're starting with Tanya Kavose de Rav Pope. Yeah. So the story is as follows. Did you see the chart yesterday? I sent you a chart. I don't know if you got to read it or not. I did send the chart. Yeah, I did. You have it? Oh, good boys, print charts. Good boy. So now, basically, we had the brisa, which we slowly analyzed. This year is Leilu Nishmas Shmo Yosef Chaim ben Yaakov Yisrael Avi Moiri Menachem ben Akiva Lerefuas Esther Frum Bas Shoshana Malka. If you can say it, Perik Tilim today, it would be nice. Esther Frum Bas Shoshana Rochel Bas Sora Ina Chai Bas Gil Rochel Avram ben Yehudis Sara Bas Nechama B'Soch Shochol Yisrael. Basically, we had a brisa yesterday that said that Rabbi Meir holds that although a gazlan is koine b'shinui, and if an object was changed in its possession, let's say the object here in question is a summary of yesterday, is a is a sheep or a cow gave birth, or the wool was shorn. What do we say? That even though shinui koine, says Rabbi Meir, give back everything. Why? Says Rashi. The sinner should never gain, even though the shinui is dramatic, is clear, and even though he also kept the animal in good condition, and the owner got it at the end of the day. So our owner got it back in good condition, and who kept it all the time? Who looked after it all the time? Do you think the ganav? So although the ganav is a bad boy, is not such a bad boy. Still, says Rabbi Meir, knas. Rabbi Yehuda said what? Now Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon said similar things. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon are definitely less into the knas mode, right? Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, the question is, what's the difference between their opinions? Is a machlokes between Rav Papa and Rav Zvid. Rav Zvid basically said that according to Rabbi Yehuda, if the animal has the wool on it, the animal was naked, now there's wool on the animal. The animal was not pregnant, now it's pregnant. It's also a change. But the change maybe is less significant, and also it's still connected to the body. In that case, says Rabbi Yehuda, everything goes, he would agree to Rabbi Meir that everything goes back to the owner with no compensation whatsoever. Right? Knas. In this case, he believes Knas would apply. Okay? That's Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rav Zvid. And what did Rabbi Shimon say? Rabbi Shimon says no. Rabbi Shimon never consents. Rabbi Shimon says, I'm very conservative. Shinui koine. Shinui koine midaraisa, and that always applies, and that's about it. Even if the shinui is still on the animal, still shinui koine, which means, and we'll see how that's going to work exactly, the person will, the ganav, yes, acquires the wool or the baby, the unborn baby or the unshorn wool, and you have to come with some kind of money agreement between them, and the ganav will keep the changed item because shinui, and he just doesn't believe in knas, finished. So the ganav gets to keep, in one way or another, the new stuff that came to the world while in his possession. Now, that was Rav Zvid. Came Rav Papa, and Rav Papa said no. Rav Papa said no. Rav Papa says both Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Shimon, they both agree that really the gazlan gets to keep what? According to Rabbi Yehuda, the gazlan gets to keep everything. What does it mean everything? The gazlan gets to keep the new the new item, yeah, and you just have to pay the minimal amount. Remember, he pays the minimal amount the way it was stolen, and according to what's his name? According to Rav Shimon, and by the way, you do know Rav Papa and Rav Zvid are Amoyroim. We're explaining the opinions of the Tanoim. Don't get confused here with the levels. Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda, and Rav Shimon are Tanoim. Rav Papa and Rav Zvid are Amoraim that came later and reflecting on their machlokes, explaining machlokes to them in a different way. Comes Rav Papa, and Rav Papa says something very unique. Rav Papa says that Rav Shimon would say, what does the Gazlan keep? He doesn't keep the entire thing minus the original amount that he stole, yes, but he keeps mechza shlishu via. He only gets to keep half or a third or a quarter, which means the same amount of the same percentage that people who are shepherds, or people who are, let's say, sheep sitters, and they look after the animal for a long time, just like a person looking after your field is called a sharecropper, aris. Yeah, he's a person who takes percentage. So too, people look after the animals; they also take percentage, and that percentage is what it's going to take from the shinui. It's possibly a potential knas because Lamaisa he doesn't get to keep everything, even though there's shinui. He gets to keep half or a third or a quarter of the new product because we treat him halfway. We don't say complete owner here of the new product. We look at you as an aris. We look at you as a person who gets a third or a quarter or a fourth, whatever certain amount percentage of the new product of the animal. That's what Rav Papa would say according to Rab Shimon. Give me just one line, which I really should have yesterday, and then I'll hear your questions. It's mamish finishing off. We should have learned this yesterday. Line starts with the word seifa. We are here in Tzadei Amud Beis, in the last third of the page. Line starts with the word seifa, and the words that we're reading now is Tani Kavosed of Papa. There's a brisa to support Rav Papa. Rabbi Shimon Oimer. Rabbi Shimon says, "Roin oiso kilu hishuma etzloi." We look at the animal as if it's assessed by him. We evaluate it by him, bekesef, with money. Clearly, Reb Shimon says, like Rav Papa, that mechta shlish ulovia is what the ganav gets. He doesn't get the entire thing, even though I would say shinui koine. Maybe it's a partial knas. I actually don't know. To be honest with you, I didn't see many before Shim here. I was very pressurized yesterday. But from some reason, Reb Shimon is like middle of the way. He says the ganav gets to keep the stuff, or we'll see exactly how that works, how the half, third, quarter, who gets what. But the end of the day, the value of what he gets is not the entire thing minus the original amount, which is Rav Yehuda, but mechza shlish v'rovia. Yes, Rabbi Yaakov. Okay. Omar Ravashi, says Ravashi, when we were learning about Rav Kana in Rav Kana's yeshiva, we had the following question. According to Rab Shimon, it says that a ganav is treated in a way like an oris, like a sharecropper or whatever, and he's supposed to get the percentage of the wool of the kid, half, third, or quarter. Who the shakil gazlan? That's what the gazlan is supposed to keep for himself. How do you actually do it? How do you practically give him the half or the third or the quarter? When we misalik lei, we give back the animal to who? To the original owner. We want to give him his percentage. How do we give him his percentage for the shinui? But we don't look at complete shinui. We look at it as if he's a worker, not an owner. How much do we give him? Not how much, but how do we give it? What's the mode of payment? Do we give it to him with money? Which means the interest of the owner is, I want the entire cow with the kid, pregnant. I want the sheep with all the wool. You deserve money. I'll give you three things: kesef, money, and geld, credit card, Bitcoin, whatever. I'll give you cash. I'll give you money. And mesalikle, in very rude words, I'll kick you out. I'll get out of the story by giving you cash, money, bank transfer for what you owed. But I'll keep the entire thing. The entire object will be kept by the owner who's now got it, who just got back his stolen item. Or Dilma, or maybe Bibisra Shokul. Maybe the Ganav can insist and say, I'm a partial owner and I want part of the meat. Since I stole it, and since the shinui happened, he got pregnant by me. I made the shidduch between the cow and the ox, and I worked on it, or the wool. I want part of the kid. I want part of the baby. And when he's born, I'll take some of the meat. We'll shecht it, very makpir on achsherim, the Ganav. We'll go to the best shechet in Bedat, shecht it, and I'll take half, a third, or a quarter, because soon I'm going to celebrate the traditional Passover. It's such a traditional holiday, right? I think in the Jewish calendar. It falls in February, no, not in February, in April. Okay? If Isra Shokul, now being sarcastic about people who advertise Shiurim, and they advertise a Shiur for Ilchas Pesach on the 2nd of April. That's a date for a Shiur in Ilchas Pesach. Like Nisan is not mentioned anywhere about anything to do with Pesach. So Pesach is the 14th of April is when we got out of Mitzrayim. That's interesting. I guess my Jewish history is pretty bad, but let's continue. Let's continue now. The kids, you got the question? How do you do it? Can we sort of, I don't say kick out, it's a nice word, misalik, can we get him out of the picture by giving him money and the real Bailing kits everything? Or can the Ganev, who is a partial owner, whether you like it or not, Shinu is koina, can he insist and say, I want actual part in the meat, in the wool? That wool, I fed her all the time, and she had such nice wool, and I combed it, and I took care of it, and I was fantasizing all the time about my new talis. Okay, mitzvah bavavera, my new sweater. What's the story? How do we can we or can we not just get him out of the picture, buy him out with cash? Upashat nameho. We had the question, and we also got the answer. We also got an answer from the following brisa. It's not even a brisa, by the way. It's a memra. It's not true. It's a memra. We'll read the following memra, and from there we're going to derive the answer. Rav Nachman said on behalf of Shmuel, Shloisha, there are three types of people, Shomin lahen shevach, that we assess the shevach, the improvement that happened usually in the ground. Let's say a person improved the ground. Now I took the ground away from him. Listen to my introduction. Somebody worked on the ground, improved it. Halachically, I'm allowed to take the ground away from him. I'm not a thief. I'm supposed to take it from him. And now I'm supposed to give him back change of the shevach. Yeah? Okay? Remember the story about the Ganev? This is not a Ganev here, but similar. Somebody stole karka away from me and sold it. Remember? Now that buyer improved it and he built an entire Disney World over there. I don't know what. It's much more improved now. Okay? And now I want my karka back. Okay? The karka is back with the shevach on the karka that cannot be even changed. He wants his change back. He says, I stole, or my seller stole $1 million. You took back $1.5 million. Give me back $500,000. Same question. Can I actually go? Can the new client say to the owner, I don't want just cash. I want part of the land. Instead of taking the entire million, whatever, a few kilometers, square meter that I have, take less land. And by that, you get what I'm saying? That will be the change I'm getting back. Leave me $500,000 worth. You owe me $500,000 change from the money I gave you, the land I gave you. Give me what? The land. Or can the legal owner got it back? Can he say, no, I'll take the entire Disney World, I'll take the entire karka and give you back cash? Or maybe in this case, the one who sold it to you, that skunk who sold it to you, he should give you back the cash. That's the same question. Yeah, I deserve cash back, says the one who got the land the wrong way, but he did improve it, he did invest in it, and he says, I want the investment back, change. Yeah, it's like he gave you $100 bill, I owe $50. How do you do it? Yeah, okay, give me cash, or maybe not, whatever. That's a shaila. Can he say, I want to keep some of the land to myself, I need it for my house, for my family, or we tell him, no, everything will be taken. The shvach, you have extra shvach that is now in the hands of the one owed, that you'll get in cash tomorrow. There will be a bank transfer, $500,000 that you owed. That's generally the question, which applies both to our dear Ganev over here of the wool and the baby, and also to similar questions. Oh, so there are three people here, three types of people, Shomin lahen hashevach, umalin oison bedomim. There are three people that you assess the shevach. In other words, there is extra investment, improvement now in the ground, a gas station, Disney World, whatever you want to fantasize, I don't know what, a new museum, something brings money, and you got extra, don't worry, Malinoison Bedomim, you will only get cash back, but the entire land will be taken away, taken away from the person who invested in it. Who are those three people? And only money. He cannot claim in Beis Din, I dafka want to stay with part of the land. These are the three people. And by the way, this list is not an exclusive final list. Even though it says three, really it's more than three. These are the three. B'choil leposhut. Okay, b'choil leposhut is number one. What's b'choil leposhut? So I'll start saying it balpeh. Maybe we'll also look at Rashi inside. We're in Tzadihei Amud Beis, about how many lines from the bottom of the page? 8, I think. Line starts with the word leposhut. Basically, the story is like this. We all know that a bechor gets how much? Pishnai, twice. The bechor gets pishnai. So a bechor only gets double. Let's say, just to make it very simple, not just because of me, because of Rashi also, there are two brothers, bechor and poshut. What's a poshut? Non-bechor. In this context, there's a bechor, non-bechor. The bechor, midaraisa, mehadrin, first father, first mother, first everything. The bechor gets pishnai. The father had a land of how much? 1 kilometer. So 2/3 of the kilometer go to the big boy, and a third kilometer goes to who? To the little boy, to the poshut. All very nice. Now, before they split it, when it was still considered as tfusa sabais, before they split the land, and it takes time to split Yerusha, a lot of fights by the lawyer or whatever. And then what? Meanwhile, they together invested in the land. They invested in the land and they started, let's say, fertilizing, and they started, having wheat growing there, and petrol stations and gas stations, I don't know what, and Disney, whatever. They had stuff that they invested. In that investment, the Bechor does not get Pishnai. Why? As we learned many, many times in Bava Basra, it says in the Torah, the Bechor only gets Pishnai and assets that were there when daddy closed his eyes and returned its soul to its maker, right? Only things that were there when the father died, he gets pishnayim. But extra dividends or extra stuff that came afterwards, including their own investment, regardless even, I can't say regardless of who invested how much, but the gadol, let's say they invested half, yeah? That investment, he doesn't get pishnayim. Why doesn't get pishnayim? It's called ro'ui. Ro'ui means potential gains, not existing gains, okay? Now it came the time after 2 years, the field is full of golden wheat swaying in the wind. And what? Now it's all very nice. The Bechor has 2/3 of the land, and the Poshet has 1/3. But Lemaisa, the wheat that grows on the 2/3 of the Bechor, he has to give back some of it to the Poshet. Why? Because that's new stuff. Rashi makes all cheshbon over here, which I wouldn't like to go into, although it's not a complicated cheshbon, really. Lamaisa, some of the wheat that grew on your land, Mr. Bechor, it's your land, but your land was improved partially by who? By the Poshut, and you do not get Pishnayim. You can't just say, it's my land to begin with, retroactively, when daddy died, now we know that really it was my land all along, the 2/3. So everything here is really mine because 2/3. No, because it's Roi, because it's only potential gain that came later, the Bechor does not get Pishnayim. In very simple terms, the Bechor has to give back change to who? To Mr. Poshut. So now Mr. Poshut can say, hey, wait, don't keep the 2/3 with my golden wheat. Please give me some of your land, not a whole half, but give me, you owe me, let's say, half. We should really go half on the land. Out of the land, on the wheat. On the wheat, we should go half. You can imagine it in your mind. You have a land, 2/3 of the land, make a strip over there belonging to Bechor. And half of that 2/3 belongs to who? To the Pashut, right? To the Pashut guy. So maybe give me some of the land, connect that amount of wheat. Let's say the wheat you owe me, Mr. Bechor, to the Pashut is worth, I don't know, 500,000. So give me 500,000 worth in your actual land. In the actual land? No. To the Pashut, we say, I'll give you cash. I'll give you money. I'll keep the 2/3 with the golden wheat on it. Yeah. And you'll be mistalek with money. I owe you money, and I'll give you back money. I'll give you bank transfer tomorrow. And if not, take me to court. Yeah, rak rega tevakasha. Okay, so the Bechor to the Pashut cannot claim back what he's owed with land. Don't leave me aside extra land next to my existing land, but the Bechor gets to keep the entire land, the entire 2/3 with wheat on it. And some of the wheat, some of the wheat belongs to the little brother. I'm not a goddess. I'll give him back cash, and only cash. Are no other options. Okay, yeah. If there are any questions, say there. No, what's the question? I know Baruch was first. Listen. Continues. Second case. Ubal chov lelokeach. Oh, easy. Case number 2. Bal chov lelokeach. Let's say that's a classical case. Reuven lent money to Shimon, and Shimon sold his land, which is, let's assume, mortgaged automatically to Levi, right? Levi bought a land, legal, nobody stole, nobody's a thief. Yeah, Levi, he just got the apartment. It was all in shambles. He made a palace out of this apartment. Knock on the door. She puts him worth 100,000, and now the apartment is worth 500,000 more. Knock on the door. Your land, your apartment was mortgaged to me. Says Reuven, get out of here ASAP. Says Levi, I will get out of here right away, but give me back the extra 500,000, which, by the way, can possibly claim from, and that's going to be now the main star of the show today. Baal chov lelokeach. So now the Baal chov will give the owner Reuven or Shimon, somebody should compensate him. Let's not go into who will compensate him. How much? 500,000 that he invested, which is called shevach. I'm just for now, we're just going to call it shevach in Hebrew. And how much? 500,000, let's say, but how? With money, only cash. You cannot leave some of the apartment to yourself. Yeah, don't say one room will stay mine in lieu of cash, because Lamaisa, I did buy it. I'm an owner here. It's true that you're owed the apartment, but I did buy it legally. So maybe because I have a foot on the door, as opposed to the guy who washes the car, who's just a guy from the street, maybe I have shaykhs in the place. So I'll give you 1,000,000 out of this apartment. I'll give you 3 out of 4 rooms. One room I'll keep for myself as an office, and that's 500,000. We say, you cannot do that. You get out of the entire apartment, and you'll get the compensation, the change, in very simple words. You'll get it in cash. 1 second. A third one. Ubal chov leyisoimim. We're not going into this now. Ubal chov to the yisoimim. A person owed money and died. Misken, so many chovos, he died. Now the Baal chov, the malve, the loan shark goes to the children, gets the apartment out of the children, which is very difficult in halacha. He has to do shvua and prove it, and the patropus. He has to go through a whole battery of things. But let's say prove that he's right, beyond reasonable doubt. Now he goes to that place, and that place was improved. So again, all he gives the Yisraelim is just cash. You can ask what's the Chiddush in the Yisraelim. I'm not going down that lane. We have enough on our plate. Now starts the real roller coaster, but it's good time for questions. I forgot the main thing. We only spoke about 3 things. Tosfos says that although we said 3, really, Tosfos and most Rishonim say the same would apply to our case. What's our case? A Ganav who improved the what? The sheep. There's sheep he invested, he fed it, he gave it to drink. There's beautiful wool. He found a shidduch to Bessie the cow, the Choshev Bocher. Now she's pregnant, Baruch Hashem. It's his investment. How much should he get? A second, like a shatchen, a lot of money. A half, a third, a quarter. How does he get it? With cash. Also, you can only get cash, and he cannot claim, I want part in the actual fetus, in the actual baby. No, you will give everything back to the owner. Because let's say we follow Reb Shimon, which, by the way, we don't follow La Halacha. If you follow Reb Shimon, you get your half or third or quarter with cash back. It's a word in Hebrew, cash back. Reb, there's such I don't know what the meaning of it, but it's so cash back, right? It's in Hebrew. Rabbi Peretz Benvenisti wants to share his thoughts with us. I'm listening. Like, Omar Ravina Ravashi. Line starts Omar Le. Omar Ravina Ravashi. Mi Omer Shmuel Baal Chov Lelokeach Yav LeShevach at all? You assume that Shmuel says the Baal Chov, the lender, gives back to the owner who bought the mortgage apartment. You assume he gives him the Shevach. You're only asking money, or do you give it to him by letting him keep part of the land? But you assume that the new owner who invested will get his investment back. And everyone should say, of course, he invested. You're going to take it away from here. Frag the Gemara, Shmuel. Look at what Shmuel says. Baal Choiv goy ve'es hashevach. Says Rashi, Baal Choiv goy ve'es hashevach. Baal Choiv takes the shevach. Baal Choiv doesn't just take the 1,000,000 that he's owed, he takes the 1,500,000. Look at Rashi, if you want to be even more surprised. Rashi in the second to last line. Goy ve'es hashevach ve'enu machzir le'lokech klum. Does not give back to the lokech nothing, not even 1 dime. Here, Rabbi, I think some Rishonim disagree with Rashi, if I got it right, and they would say you give him the 100,000 of the investment. But this statement for sure says that the new value added to the apartment with the hard work of the lokeach, goes to who? To the original owner, and he keeps it. It's a lot fair, you say in English. And nobody stole. Nobody stole. So first of all, nobody stole. Nobody stole. Nobody stole. What? What are you talking about over here? No, Rabbi Meir, this is not a Gazlan. People's. It's not a Gazlan here. Everyone is honest as an Israeli politician. No. I'm joking. No, everyone's a Gazlan. No, nobody's a Gazlan here. Everyone's a Bisral Salanter, Naftali Amsterdam, and then the Gro. No, this is a guy who lent money to someone, to Shimon. Shimon sold an apartment to Levi. Levi's a nice guy who bought an apartment. It happened to be mortgaged. He didn't know, I don't know. It's not a crime to buy a mortgaged apartment that's sort of shaykh to Reuven already. Now invested with his good money. Everything's taken away from him, and nobody compensates him for the extra $500,000. The truth is that the Gemara of the Metzia Daftas Vav I saw says that he can claim it back from the seller, and then he can still ask why is it the seller's fault? Oh, because of achrayus. But still, that extra half, I would say. And by the way, the Gemara is not as surprised as I am. The Gemara's problem is that there's a stira between Shmuel and Shmuel. That's a problem. In one place, Shmuel says that the new owner that invested $500,000 gets the $500,000 back. And from who? From the lender, from the original lender, that the apartment's mortgaged to. And the second statement, the Shmuel says, no, he doesn't get anything. So what's going on over here? First of all, it's a stira. Let's deal with the stira, and eventually we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. Amrli, so he answered him, Ravashi. Kasha, not difficult. Kan b'shvachim megile. Who wants to read the next word? Le. Kan b'shvachim megile. Le. I'm not testing if you know where I am in the Gemara. That's what you used to do us in school. Very nice. Very nice. Kan b'shvachim megile k'tefayin, and not ksofim, which is an, excuse my language, very silly mistake. It's k'tefayin, because many people are not. Yeah. Exactly. Shvachim megil lek'tefaim. There's no other way to read this word, by the way. K'tefaim are maybe k'seifayim. Shvachim megil lek'tefaim. The kan b'shvach she'en megil lek'tefaim. What's going on over here? Says the Gemara like this. Let's not talk about an apartment. Let's go back to the field. This guy, Levi, it's after Shemitah. He bought a new field, and he starts growing what? Wheat. Russia or Ukraine, problem with wheat. He wants to grow wheat in Israel now. Yofi. Shvachim megil lek'tefaim means if the investment already reached the shoulders, which means it's already a unit on its as of its own, because it can be reaped already. It's not completely disconnected or about to be disconnected. It's one stage before. It's part of the land. It still needs the land, but it's ototot, as we say in Hebrew. It's very close to being ready in the last stage. So if the investor has shvachim megil lek'sefaim, which means you can see it as a separate product, says that's according to Rashi, then what? Then we say you keep that. You keep the field, not the wheat that's already a separate unit or almost separate, and I, Mr. Original Owner, I take the land. But I don't give you the actual wheat. What will I give you? Cash, keneged the wheat that's megil lek'tefaim. Because your investment is already a separate unit, and it's called your unit, it's your baby, as we say, that's a separate thing. Memela, really, it's justifiably yours, and I will give you cash back instead. Now, if the shvach loy megil lek'tefaim, let's say the wheat is halfway there, it's not separate enough from the land as a separate unit, it's still a baby wheat kind of stage, then we ignore it, and we say, no, the lender was not taking back the land owed to him, he's taking everything, including the shvach, she'en megil lek'tefaim. That's explanation according to Rashi. Says the Rashba, whoa, no way. The Rashba is my friend. Rashba says that doesn't sound just. The Maisi invested. Says the Rashba, something makes me much happier. Says the Rashba like this. Shvach megil lek'tefaim means something you work on. Tefaim, shoulders, it's on my shoulders. You work with the shoulders, yeah? You schlep. Shvach megil lek'tefaim means investment you invested in. Megillah Ktefayim means something that you invested with your own money, blood, sweat, and tears. That is Shvach Megillah Ktefayim. And that, my friend, I will keep, says who? The new owner. And if you don't give it to me like that, okay, I'll take cash. But I'm owed because I invested 100,000. If it's Shvach that came by itself, I don't know, excuse my language, some cows came around without my investment and they did what they did. Now it's fertilized, natural fertilizer, or some nice rain came and the bees came and the birds came and there's nice flowers there, which I did not invest. That makes sense. The original owner would take without compensating at all. That is a yishuv to explain and reconcile the stira of Shmuel. Okay? So let's remember, Shvach Megillah Ktefai, which is either almost separate or invested by the new guy, goes to the new guy. But how does it go to him? He won't actually enjoy the wheat. No, he'll get cash for the wheat, and the original owner, not owner, the one owed to the bank, the bank manager, he will actually get the entire field with the wheat inside. I prefer no questions now, because it's one of these Gemaras that's like a Lego. It's, it's all one on top of the other. Questions will be welcome soon. Amar Lei, so far that would be a very nice answer, I think. However, there's a problem. Amar Lei, again, continues the conversation between Ravina and Ravashi. I'm sorry, that sounds very nice, what you're saying in theory. You see every day things that happen. It happens on a daily basis almost. It's Shmuel, what's Shmuel's profession? Besides being a doctor, mainly he was a dayan. Yeah, Mag b'Shmuel, afilu shvach megillah ktefayim. Shmuel would collect from new owners that innocently bought mortgage parts, meshuabad. He would, yes, collect from them and give to the original owner shvach megillah ktefayim without compensating. Even shvach megillah ktefayim, which means either almost separate and big, or something invested by the new owner, and would give it to the original owner with yes, go b'shvach megillah ktefayim. Sounds like he would give it without paying back, without compensating. Amalei loy kasha, not difficult. Ha, the masik bekishiur ar v'shavcha. Ha, the lamasik be'ela kishiur ar, which means depends. If he depends how much, and that's actually a very easy answer. That's too easy. You just have to look into the cases. Case number one. The masik bekishiur ar v'shavcha. Sometimes the debt is $1.5 million. If the debt is $1.5 million, yeah, then you took the $1.5 million, meaning karka plus investment, is what he's owed. So of course he's going to take it, even though it's Megillah Ktefayim. He's owed it. It's a new thing. Who cares? It's a new thing. I'm owed by who? By your seller, says Reuven to Levi, $1.5 million. Here you have $1.5 million. Yeah, million original plus half you invested. That's what I'm owed. You think Levi is a misken? Levi will go to who? To Shimon, the seller. And Shimon, Mefurish in the Gemara in Bava Kama, will give him against the land and against the Shvach. So Levi is not losing. Happens to be, that's what he's owed. He's not taking extra. From Reuven's point of view, he's not taking any extras. He's really owed. He's owed the land plus wheat. The value that they are, they are very good. In that case, even Megillah Ktefayim, even though it's invested, even though it's big, even though it's almost separate, it's still part of the land. Anything to do with the land that I'm owed $1.5 million, we counted as assessed, boom, the land, million, the wheat, $500,000, I'm owed $1.5 million. Why shouldn't I take it? What do you want me to do? But if Lamaisa is only taking Shiur Ara, if he's only owed the shiur of the land itself without the wheat, let's say he's owed only $1 million, Reuven, now he's going to a field of $1.5 million, then of course, Shvach Megillah Ktefayim, what does he do? Then again, he takes the Shvach plus the wheat. Now he's owed cash. How to give the cash? He'd give the cash with, how to give back the change with cash. Okay, that's very good. If he's owed $1.5 million, of course it's going to, why shouldn't you take it? If he's owed $1 million and he took $1.5 million, even B'Shvach Megillah Ktefayim, then he would give back the extra that he got. He'll give it back in the form of cash. So that could have been very good. And by the way, Oh, yeah. Look at Tosfos though. Look at the beginning of Tosfos. Tosfos had the masik, not the whole thing. Tosfos here says something which is disturbing, but that's very good actually for the hemshech of the Gemara. Look at Tosfos. Had the masik v'shiur arav v'shavcha, says Tosfos. Pirush. What did we say? When he's owed the land and the shevach, 1.5 million, he takes 1.5 million. Very good. Pirush. Had the kol Shmuel balchov govetz the shevach. Balchov takes the extra. The kevan the masik v'shiur arav v'shavcha. He's owed the land and the shevach. He's owed 1.5 million. Govetz the shevach bechinam in lakuchos. He takes it from lakuchos and he does not give them a dime back. He does give them anything back. In other words, the seller himself, not the seller, the original guy, Reuven, the lender who lent money to Shimon, he's owed 1.5 million. He takes million, lend, and half from the wheat, goes home, and stays there in the land. That's what he gets. Mashen can, when it's only 1 million that he's owed, and there's extra half from the investment, that what do we say? That I would like to say it goes back to the lokeach, but it's not so simple. I would say like you. That goes back to the lokeach in the form of what? In the form of cash. Okay, let's leave that as a possibility. I'm open for questions now. Yes, Baruch. One thing for sure, that when he gets his cash back, the new owner gets his cash back from the whoever that may be, from the original guy, from Reuven or from Shimon, who does he get it? He gets it in cash. He cannot keep the land. He cannot keep the land, even though he invested in it. And even though he legally bought it and he invested in it, we kick him out of his land and we say, get the cash and go home. That's okay according to one man de Omar. What's the question? What's the two man de Omars? Says one man de Omar. What happens if the lokeach actually is a rich guy, and besides this piece of land, he has 1.5 million in the bank, sitting there, not knowing what to do with it, like all of us here. Yeah, he has 1.5 million in the bank, in his running account, and he says to the Reuven, listen, Mr. Reuven, I really love this land. I want this piece of land, and I want to give you cash instead. You owed money, I'll give you cash, and afterwards I'll sort it out between me and Shimon. But don't touch my dear land. Please, please, please. I'll give you cash instead. Can he do that? Machloikis. Says one opinion. Hanicha. What we just said is good. I'm reading again. Hanicha. What we just said that he's forced out of the land and he's only offered cash instead. Pinui binui. Leman domer. It's good according to the one who says he isle zuzil lokeach. If the lokeach has money, loy matzim esalkel lebal choiv. And lokeach cannot tell the Baal Choiv, I'll give you cash instead. The Baal Choiv can always kick him out of his land and say, no, I don't need your money. I want the land, by hook or by crook. According to that opinion, Shapir, I can understand what's going on over here. Then I understand, because here too, we say to the new owner, get out of the land, because that's it. I want the land and the land only, and I'll give you cash instead. You'll be sama compensated. Soon we'll explain the deeper story here. But according to the other man de Omar that says if the lokeach has money, there is an opinion, and that's halacha. If the new owner of the land loves the land, I love my land, and I'll give you instead cash, and then the Baal Choiv is forced to take cash. If so, wait a second. So here something doesn't work right. Lei malei, in our case, he doesn't have cash, in our case, by us. But there's an equivalent of cash called what? A piece of land. Mister, you're exploiting me. Halachically, according to this man, the Omar, if I had 1.5 million, I could have told you, get out of my land, and the police will kick you out. And tomorrow, I'll make a transfer, 1.5 million cash to your account. Hashta, now, you know what I'm offering you? Havli griva de ara, leave me a strip of land, leave me behind a piece of land, shiur shvachoi, keneged the shiur of my shevach. There's 1.5 million here invested with nice golden wheat. Leave me a strip of land, keneged the 1 million that you owe me. Why don't we say that? Why don't we say that instead of the cash that I could have given you, give me back cash, which I could have forced you, give me cash in the form of a piece of land. Meaning, in very simple words, the ones who say that the new owner can give cash or can give that, as you say in English, he has the cards in his hands. He's the one with the power here. He's controlling the options. Here too, why don't we say, why are you forcing me out of the land like that? And you say, I'll give you cash, says the Malva to Levi. No, Levi can say, I'm insisting, in just like I could have given you cash for the whole thing, or cash for a million, cash for this. A million I'll give you in land, and 500,000 leave me change in the form of land and not in form of money. Why don't we say that? No questions now. Ask the Gemara. And I didn't even tell you the whole shtick yet. We're just reading the Gemara. And here comes the final answer, the final redemption. You know what the story is? That he can never ever offer any other options of cash or strip of land to leave behind for himself as change. I think some of you should know the word apoitiki because we read it many times. Apoitiki is a combination of three words. Apo tehe kai. You stand here. Apoitiki means, I think that's what you call in nice English, what collateralized. Apoitiki means when the shiabud is not general, it's a specific shiabud on one land. In other words, usually when a person writes a star, let's say no shiabud is written, shiabud, it's written in the star, I borrowed 1.5 million from Reuben, says Shimon, and my land and my assets and my things are mortgaged to him, are meshuabad to him. What kind of land? I don't know, either the $1 million house here or the part of the 100 million house in California. The assets, maybe other things. Apoitiki means no. Reuven has his eyes, and it's written inside on the dotted line, I want that field, apotehekai, that particular field. Yes, the one over there between the Golan and the Galil with a nice olive tree over there, that field is mortgaged specifically, like mortgage today, specific. That's called apoitiki, apotehekai. In Spanish, the word for mortgage is hipoteca. That's why. Yeah, so because it's apoitiki, the Omerle that he told him says that the Loiv and Malva were talking, the only way you'll be able to get the money back, says Shimon to Reuven when he borrowed the money, is obviously cash, if I have. If I don't have cash, the one and only unique land you're going to get is that particular one that was sold to Levi. In such a case, everyone agrees that there's no way Levi can offer money or joy or fun or for sure not a strip of land. Because why? Because that land was already, now the cat is out of the bag. That land, which is now by Levi, was always partially owned, O-W-N-E-D, by Reuven. That's really, now the screen is off. Yes. The reason why we're being so tough on Levi and all the unfair stories happening here is very simple. When Levi bought a land that's mortgaged to Reuven, that land is partially owned already by Reuven. Imagine yourself, you go on a nice holiday for Pesach to wherever near Tzion, and you come back, and there's another family who live there. The very nice people. They just moved in from, I don't know where, Atlanta, and what? And they said, oh, now this is our house. And we even improved it, and we invested in it, and we're so sorry. Oh, we didn't find your phone number. So now, you know what? But now get out of here, and we'll give you cash. Find yourself somewhere else. How is that? Yeah, is that nice? No, it's your apartment. Of course, you're going to tell them, get out of here this second. You invested in my apartment. The new family invested. They have a much nicer kitchen, which even your wife likes, and nice tiles. And they're going to say, hey, wait a minute. No. You're getting us out of the house? No, get home. Get out of the house ASAP. It's my house, you say to them. Although they may be very nice people with big smiles from ear to ear. Lamaisa, they invested in the kitchen, now it's worth $500,000. At best, you'll give them $500,000 in cash. Even that's a question. Take the kitchen with you, or the tiles, or obviously nobody with his right mind would think that actually they can still claim, no, we want to keep one room connected to $500,000 refurbishment. Obviously not. So although I'm exaggerating a bit, The line of thinking of the Gemara here is that the original Baal Choiv, especially with the Poitiki, is already half an owner. Because the Baal Choiv is a partial owner, Mimela, now we understand why on Levi we're being harsh. And we say, Levi, you get out with all the details, Megillah Ksefayim, not Megillah Ksefayim, but Begadol, Levi is regally escorted out of the place right now, and if he deserves compensation, it would only be money, because be'emes, there's already some ownership by Mr. Lender. That will make it much easier. For me, it made it much easier to understand it's not unfair, that is fair. When you bought it, you knew it's mortgage. Yeah, it's called what? Due diligence, yeah? Do your homework. You should have done your homework. This is a potiki, which is very clear red letter thing to Reuven. That means there's partial ownership by Reuven. So you really went into someone else's field and you invested. You should have thought before you invested, honey. And therefore now, okay, we'll give you cash, but not more than that. I prefer continuing a little bit. If you don't mind asking a question at 10:25, that'll be nice, because I really want to have, this is probably the last year between Anu and Pesach. I deeply apologize. I always want to keep the shiurim going, but there's a lot of stuff going on in my life now in all directions. So I don't know if there's a shiur tomorrow. There's probably no shiur tomorrow. If there is shiur, I'll let you know by email. Okay? Let's assume no, but if yes, I'll let you know. Okay? Maybe you want to share about Pesach, one time next few days. Yeah, maybe you'll do a Pesach shiur, maybe on Sunday. I think Pesach is coming, although my house doesn't look like weiter. In the 14th of April, I think there's Pesach. Omer Rove, quick. Omer Rove, gozal ve'shbiach ve'mochal. A person was gozel, he stole, he invested, he improved it, and then he sold it on. The gozal ve'shbiach ve'hoirish. He stole it, shbiach, and now he bequeathed it to his children. What a nice tati. So whichever way we look at, we're all different opinions. Whichever way you look at the Ganev's rights, shinui, yeah. Let's say according to Reb Shimon, how much would the Ganev take? Half, third, or quarter. Now it's by his children, or now it's by the buyer. The same thing would go to the new guy. Whatever the Ganev has, these are not personal rights. These are his rights to sell on or to pass on to his children after his death. And the same thing would go to them. If you stand in Beis Din and you are the owner of the cow or the sheep or the land, and you're in Beis Din against his buyer or his heir, then what do we say? The same halacha continues, because he has rights over the item, which is koine b'shinui. And it was Yush, of course. He's koine, it's his. Elamite, that completely is only half, a third, a quarter. He can pass it on to the next owner. Next one. What's the halacha if the lokeach himself improved it? That's a question. Let's say the Ganev was not such a diligent guy. He's a lazy guy, only knows how to steal. But the lokeach, the one who bought from the Ganev, the one who bought the stolen goods, I don't know about Shogig or Mezid, he's a chevraman. He invested in the cow. Now it's pregnant. The sheep has a lot of wool, shorn, good. Now, what's the halacha over there? Do we say that to him also he has the same halacha of getting the mechza shlish ve'elvia or not? Also, the bai hodo pashta. After the question came and answer, the first guy sold the second guy every right that he has, which means even though as opposed to the first case, the first guy, the Ganev, did not invest, but had the Ganev invested in it and created shinui, shinui is the word, shinui would be koine. It's the rights of the Ganev. I know you don't like this word, but it does exist in halacha. The Ganev rights are that if there is shinui, especially with investment, now it's his, although there are limitations, mechza shlish, but it's his. That right he sold on to the other person. So he didn't exercise those rights. You have a card to the swimming pool, you never went to the swimming pool. Let's say it's legal to pass it on to another guy, legal. Yeah, he's going to swim 50 times. I never swim, so what? I didn't use my rights. I didn't fulfill them. Well, I passed them on to another person. If that other person invested in the cow or in the sheep, he would get mechza shlish or avia according to Rab Shimon, according to Rav Papa. Okay. Few more minutes or no? Boy, Rav? No? Question. Okay, question. Yeah.